Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, and today we're going to talk about the UFC 318 prelim. So, as you know, the main event is Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway going down this Saturday night live at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. So, we already talked about the main card with UFC fighter Malcolm Wellmaker. That's on the Half the Battle channel. So, make sure y'all check that out if you haven't already. But we still got to talk about the prelims. And in case you missed the main card predictions with Malcolm Wellmaker, we also covered the feature prelim between Vinicius Oliveira and Kyler Phillips. So that's why I'm not covering that right now. If you want that breakdown plus the main card predictions, make sure you click my main card video. So without further ado, let's get right down to business, because next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Marvin Vettori, he's 19-7-1, taking on Brendan All-In Allen, who's 24-7. Currently, they got it Brendan Allen minus 205. The comeback on Marvin Vettori is plus 175. So Marvin Vettori is 31. Brendan Allen is 29. Brendan Allen is 2 inches taller at 6'2", and he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage at 75 inches of reach. So first thing I got to say is my condolences to Marvin Vettori. My heart goes out to him and his family for this unthinkable tragedy, man. I can only imagine what they're going through. So I'm sending all my positive vibes and any kind of healing energy that I can. So yeah, man, I don't know what to say, but it doesn't really factor into my analysis, unfortunately, because I've seen other UFC fighters go through unthinkable tragedies, and the results have been kind of mixed, like when Walt Harris, like what happened to his daughter, which, rest in peace, Anaya, man, it's terrible, but like he came back and he never won a UFC fight ever again. But then you'll see another example like Damon Jackson when his brother tragically passed. Damon Jackson goes out there and destroys Pat Sabatini in the first round. So to me, there's no one size fits all in terms of this. So I just don't factor it into my analysis. But what I do factor into my analysis is that I've thought Vettori was on kind of a decline for a hot minute, to be frank with you guys, man, because, I talked about it last week with Calvin Kattar. When guys get significant strike records set on their face, they tend not to come back the same. And, that's what happened to Marvin Vettori against Jared Cannonier. And in the subsequent fight against Dolidze, I wasn't even convinced that Vettori won the first Dolidze fight. But the first Dolidze fight, Dolidze was like 33. So you controversially beat him when he's 33, and then you get shut out by him when he's 37, and you're only like 30, 31. So that is a clear sign of a decline. The thing with Marvin Vettori, what was he always known for? That blockhead, that block chin. You could take a baseball bat to this guy's face and, he'd smile at you. But now you're starting to see him get rocked, and you can't just take shots to the face, especially in this weight class at this point in his career, And with Brendan Allen, it's kind of the opposite, right? Like with Brendan Allen, I think he's ultra talented everywhere the fight goes. And he's had some interesting results lately. I feel like he looked great in round one against Nasruddin Imavov. And, there's the whole story about how he was fighting a French fighter in France, and Brendan Allen got blood tested the night before the fight. Like a bunch of the fighters didn't get that. But of course, the guy fighting a French fighter in the co-main event got blood tested the night before the fight. And, round one, he looks like the best fighter on planet Earth. Round 2 and 3, it's like, wait, Brendan, what's going on, man? And in that second Fluffy fight, I'm not going to hold that against him, because Fluffy does push one of the most relentless grappling paces in the middleweight division, if not the entire UFC. And they had also fought previously on LFA, and similar things happened. But to Brendan's credit, he did great early in that fight. But he's not necessarily known for fading. He just has his last 2 fights. But I think when Brendan's on his game, that he's, like I said, super talented, but super well-rounded. People think about him for his back takes. He choked out Kevin Holland. He's tapped out a bunch of people. But this guy can strike too, man. And he's got an incredible record against southpaws. He's 7-1 against southpaws inside the octagon. The only guy he lost to was Chris Curtis, and he ended up avenging that loss. All the other southpaws he's fought in the UFC, he's won against. And the one that kind of brings me to this fight is actually the one against Punahele Soriano, because a lot of people are thinking that Brendan Allen is going to need grappling success here. And I'm not saying that he's not going to find it, but I think he can kickbox with Marvin Vettori for 3 straight rounds, land hard body kicks, land big punches, possibly crack the iron chin of Marvin Vettori that hasn't officially been cracked yet, but is on its way to being cracked, you know? And the thing with Brendan Allen is sometimes he gets in his own way. Sometimes the fight IQ is a little bit questionable. But I actually heard his interview, and take it for what it's worth. But he said, normally in the past, he's from Louisiana. He would have cried that he was on the prelims or, acted entitled. And dude, he was like super humble. Like, man, I'm just happy to be here. I just want to get back to showing who I really am, not taking any shortcuts, no complacency, and just being me. And that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Just a little sign of maturity from Brendan Allen, because I do think he is the much more talented fighter. Look, in Marvin Vittori's prime, when he used to train out of King's MMA and he had that kind of, pressure forward southpaw style, kind of like his teammates RDA and Beneil Dariush, they'd fire that heavy liver kick and just nonstop output. But the thing about it is there's not much power coming back from the Vettori side. His grappling offense isn't really something that's going to threaten Brendan Allen, at least in my opinion, before the fact. So I just think that Brendan Allen is going to be the much faster guy here on the feet, the more durable guy. And if he can maybe mix in a takedown or two, he's elite on the mat. I mean, I'm not saying he's Hamzat Chimaev or Fluffy, but I'm saying this guy, he takes Marvin Vittori's back. Do not be surprised if he's the first guy to submit Marvin Vettori inside the octagon, let alone be the first man to knock him out. I've been waiting for someone to finally knock out Marvin Vettori. Not because I got anything against him, but it's just because, like we said, when you used to be able to take a baseball bat to this guy's face and he'd smile at you, and now he's getting significant strike records set on his face. Now he's wobbling all over the place. Now he's losing to guys past their prime. That's the clearest evidence I've ever seen of a decline. And with Brendan Allen's last 2 fights, I don't think that was a sign of a decline. I think that it was a sign that he fought 2 guys that were better than him. I think Nasruddin is on a title trajectory. Nasruddin knocked out Adesanya, is about to fight Caio Borralho in a title eliminator, man. And Fluffy Hernandez, you already know he's definitely a threat to the belt with that pace. So yeah, man, shout out to those 2 guys, but I still think Brendan Allen's got a lot left in the tank. And as long as he can keep his head together, because I know there's a lot of emotions going into this fight. These guys got into a street fight at a casino. These guys don't like each other. But what I've seen from Brendan this week is he's been able to keep his cool, man. And I think it's Marvin, the one that is, super emotional, always pissed off. But more importantly than that, he's a walking punching bag. He's always been, but now the signs of that are starting to show. And I think they're going to show again Saturday night. So for that reason, I'm going Brendan Allen to come out here and defeat Marvin Vettori. So before I move on to the next fight, I wanted to let y'all know something. I'm doing a free giveaway. And if y'all want free signed merch from Malcolm the Machine Wellmaker, all you got to do is get me to 10K subscribers on YouTube. So in case you missed it, here's the contest. Let's do a giveaway for the fans. So check this out. I got this UFC hat right here. It's got the tag. It's brand new, all this stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to send this to Malcolm. He's going to sign it for the winner. And, I'm going to cover shipping, all that. He's going to send it to you. But what do y'all got to do to get this? Man, listen, I've been grinding for a very long time. I've been paying my dues. All I'm asking is get the Half the Battle YouTube channel to 10K subscribers. That's it. Get me to 10K subscribers, and we're going to give out Malcolm Wellmaker signed stuff. Maybe even more than that. Let's see what I got in the collection. But, Malcolm, you're down to hook up the fans. Did they hook me up with 10K?
100%, man. Listen, bro, aside from you being a great person, like I know you personally and I've known you for a long time. If you just want to talk about knowledge of the sport, perspective and breakdowns, man, you are talented at what you do, man. You can do this on a really high level. A lot of times you're right about things that people have no idea about, man. And you call me a talent. Yeah, I was about to say that's where I was going. You called me a talent before I even, knew how to sprawl. So man, I think you deserve 10K at the very least if we can't get you more. So if me signing the hat's gonna help you get there, let's make it happen.
Absolutely. So guys, y'all know what to do. Get me to 10K subs, and someone's gonna get some signed Malcolm Wellmaker gear. So we're up in the stakes. We're not just giving out that signed hat. We're going to give out a signed poster and some other gear, man. So if y'all want some signed stuff from one of the emerging talents in the UFC, I mean, 2 fights, 2 devastating knockouts, 2 performance bonuses, Malcolm the Machine Wellmaker, and just a super cool guy, one of the good guys in the sport, then all you got to do is help me get to 10K subscribers on YouTube. That's all I ask. You know, I've been paying my dues a long time. I think I deserve it. So, you know, nothing's given, it's earned, and I think I've earned it. So help me get to 10K subscribers, and we're going to hook a bunch of y'all up. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Francisco Prado, who's 12-3, taking on Nikolay Veretennikov, who's 12-6. Currently, they got it. Francisco Prado minus 145. The comeback on Nikolay Veretennikov is plus 125. So Prado is 23 and Veretennikov is 35. But Veretennikov is 6'1" to Prado's 5'10. But between you and me, Prado's more like 5'8", and Veretennikov's of course going to have a bit of a reach advantage in this spot, man. So let me say something real quick. So a lot of people are commenting on how, you know, Prado is probably in the wrong weight class, and I agree with that. I just think it's simply a situation where the guy doesn't know how to cut weight properly. And but look at his like physique, man. The guy's like a little tree stump. You know what I'm saying, man? But he is tough as nails. He's got that Argentine heart for real. But I feel like some of these matchups, he's just ran into guys like, you know, Jake Matthews, who Jake Matthews is 30 years old. Jake Matthews has been in the UFC since he was 19. He ran into an 11-year UFC vet, you know, so, and he fought tough with him, man. That first round against Zell Huber, he fought super tough, man. Like, I feel like normally when guys go 1-3, the UFC are quick to give him the boot, but this guy, they're giving him one more chance and they're letting him go against Veretennikov, who, look, he's also tough, but I feel like he doesn't really offer much, right? Like, where do you guys see his biggest strengths, like besides toughness? And toughness just means you get your ass whooped a lot, you know? I think the volume's low on the Veretennikov side. I think he can't get up from bottom. I think he's getting too much credit for things like, oh, he went the distance with Michael Morales. Like, so what? He got his ass beat by Michael Morales. Like, what's the big deal here? You know? So while I have a hard time picturing how I actually see the fight playing out, what I do think is that Prado's going to have the more output. Prado's going to have more of a will to win, and Prado's just gonna gut it out and I think win 2 of the 3 rounds. So I'm gonna go with Francisco Prado to come out here and beat Nikolay Veretennikov, secure that roster spot, and we'll see what he does next. Hopefully, he can get with the people at the PI, drop to his proper weight class, 155 pounds, but you know, he's got to learn how to cut weight properly because long term at 70s, it's going to be kind of tough, you know, with his stature. But I think this is a fight that he can get past. So for that reason, I'm picking him here. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Ateba Gautier. He's 7-1, taking on Robert Valentin, who is 10-5. Currently, they got it Ateba Gautier minus 550. The comeback on Robert Valentin is plus 400. So Valentin is 30, Gautier is 23. Ateba Gautier is 6'4" to Valentin's 6'2". Valentin's got a 77-inch reach, but Gautier has got an 81-inch reach. Listen, man, Switzerland is known for 2 things: Swiss cheese, Swiss Army knives, but not fighting. Okay. But listen, shout out, all jokes aside, shout out to Robert Valentin because that elbow he hit on the Ultimate Fighter was absolutely disgusting. And also in that fight against Torres Finney, he was a big underdog. And I feel like he performed a lot better than people expected him to. So I think that although he's 0-2 in the UFC, he's not as bad as people think. That being said, on the other side with Ateba Gautier, I mean, if you tell me we got an African prospect versus a Swiss prospect, who do you think I'm going with? Listen, this guy, Ateba Gautier, is an absolute freak of nature. You know exactly what he brings to the table. Disgusting power, nasty setups with his striking. The only issue with him is what I saw in Contender Series is his instincts for takedown defense and get-up game aren't exactly the best. But the good news is when you've had less than 10 pro fights, when you're only 23 years old, and when you have the God-given gifts that this man has, I hope to see some significant leaps fight by fight. We'll see if that's the case or not. So listen, if this guy just gives up takedowns easily, I can't act surprised. But if he comes out here and head kicks this guy's head and head kicks this guy, into the fifth row, I'm not going to be surprised either. And I think more likely that's what I'm leaning towards. So yeah, there are some concerns if Gautier is on his back, of course, because he ain't exactly the best there. But that being said, man, I think he's going to come out here and starch Buddy. And all respect to Valentin, because I think he's performed better than people expect. It's just like, sometimes people overblow performances on losses, right? And you don't want to do that in this spot. Like, oh, you went the distance with Michael Morales. Like we heard that last week about one guy. We're hearing it this week about a couple guys. It's like, come on, man. That doesn't get you brownie points in my book. Oh, you extended the ass whooping? Big deal. That being said, I just think that raw, brute, African power, force, strength, tenacity, will to win is going to be too much for Valentin. So for that reason, I'm taking Ateba Gautier to win this fight, most likely by devastating knockout. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Adam Fugitt, he's 10-4, taking on Islam Dulatov, who's 11-1. Currently, they got Islam Dulatov minus 600. The comeback on Adam Fugitt is plus 425. So Dulatov is 10 years younger at 26 years of age. He's 6'3". That makes him 2 inches taller, but he's got a 2-inch reach disadvantage at 75 inches of reach. So, guys, oftentimes when you see someone with OV as the last two letters of their last name, you think, oh, great, another one of these guys that's going to come out here, try to hump legs, try to sniff crotch, try to make the crowd boo, try to put on one of these boring fights. But let me tell you something. This guy Dulatov, his last name might as well be his opponent's last name. His last name might as well be Fuck It, because the way this guy fights, he draws a line in the sand and says fuck it and just goes right at his opponents. He's got a balls to the wall style, man. He is a kill or be killed fighter. I absolutely love watching Dulatov fight. Now, is he going to run into issues down the line with that style? Of course. You know the deal. Any balls to the wall guy is going to run into issues down the line, especially if you can extend them. The question is, do I think that Adam Fugitt's going to be the one to extend them? No, but I got to preface that by saying I've been very wrong about Fugitt before. Man, I've counted this guy out more than once. Y'all remember the Japanese Connor debacle? Like, there was this kid, if y'all don't know, there was this kid named Japanese Connor, Yasaku Kinoshita, right? On his regional scene, he was killing guys, like to the point where, like, his one loss, he got DQ'd because he stomped a motherfucker out, right? He gets the Contender Series. He has this absolute war with this stud Brazilian prospect. And in the third round, Japanese Connor hits this nasty pull right counter. Dana said, we've been looking for a Japanese star. I think we found him. I was saying, like, yo, this is the best Japanese prospect we've had in years. He comes to the UFC. They give him a softball and Adam Fugitt. And boy, does he drop the ball in a way that none of us expected. Well, at least that I didn't expect. I didn't expect anything like that. He got ran through. It was like a far cry from the prospect I scouted. Like, he checked all the green boxes on his regionals, on his Contender Series fight, but then comes to the UFC and the bright lights were just way too much. So shout out to Fugitt. Another time I lost money fading Fugitt was with Adam Quinlan. I thought that, or Josh Quinlan, excuse me. I thought that the power was going to be too much. I thought that kind of Hawaiian durability and heart was going to be too much. Nope. So, like, this dude will surprise you from time to time. I know people, back to the Morales talk. He lasted almost 3 rounds with Morales. Like, but that's like such a consolation prize for fighters these days. But yeah, man, just because he took an extended ass whooping doesn't mean that, I'm viewing him in a higher light in terms of picking him. Yeah, maybe I respect the hell out of him, just like I do anyone that steps in there. But as far as coming out here and winning this fight against Dulatov, I think Dulatov's going to come out here and run through this guy in the first round, as the odds indicate. And like I said, listen, down the line, you're not going to just be able to run through everybody. That's just how it works at the UFC level, man. Like, someone is going to be durable enough to take your best shots or to extend you into deep waters. Then we're going to have to see how Dulatov's cardio holds up. But in this fight, I think before the fact, like I said, I've been wrong on Fugitt before, but right now, before the fact, I think that Dulatov is going to come out here and steamroll this guy. So let's see what happens. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got the return of Jimmy the Brute Crute. He's 12-4-2. Taking on Marcin Praccnio, who's 17-8 currently. They got it. Jimmy the Brute Crute. Minus 300. The comeback on Praccnio is plus 250. So both men have 74-inch reaches. Praccnio is 1 inch taller at 6'3", but I didn't realize Praccnio was already 37, and Jimmy the Brute Crute is only 29 years of age. And you know what's funny? When Jimmy the Brute Crute fought Rodolfo Bellato, that was kind of his comeback fight. So initially, it was supposed to be this fight here with Marcin Praccnio. They're going to fly Marcin Praccnio down under. Hey, let's get Jimmy the Brute Crute back on track. But, Marcin pulled out the fight. They got Rodolfo back in there. And I felt like in that first round, Jimmy Crute looked the best he's looked in a long time. Now, obviously, a couple tendencies that we've come to get used to by him. He gassed out badly. Rodolfo Bellato found a nice home for those calf kicks later on in the fight. But I still felt like that was a huge step in the right direction because I believe Jimmy Crute when he says that he was burnt out in that Alonzo Menafield fight. Like when you see a 28-year-old just give up like that, who's known for being super tough. Yeah, I could tell he was burnt out, but it seems like he's reinvigorated, and this is the perfect matchup for him, man. Like, listen, Praccnio, but then again, MMA makes no sense whatsoever, because like Praccnio is the kind of guy to get knocked out by Sam Alvey and then go out there and beat Khalil Roundtree in a 3-round striking fight. Like, hey, listen, I know if him and Khalil ran it back, that Khalil would absolutely mop the floor with him. But like the fact that he beat Khalil Roundtree, it's like, damn, like, yo, MMA makes no sense whatsoever, man. But like, yeah, I'm thinking for Praccnio, hey, go get to that calf kick. Dude, that little head kick he threw in the pocket against Bukauskas, that was slick by Praccnio. Look, he's got some stuff, but I think he's kind of on the slower side. I think there's big questions about his ground game. I know people are going to talk about the arm triangle from the opposite side he got tapped out with. To me, it wasn't even about that he got tapped out with an arm triangle from the wrong side. To me, it was more so it was the exhaustion and the pressure he was feeling. That's what it was. It was like a tap to exhaustion more so than the arm triangle being on the wrong side. But here, if that kind of stuff is happening to you against non-black belts, Jimmy the Brute Crute has been a black belt since before he was in the UFC. And in Jimmy's regional fights, he was going 5 rounds hard. Like, man, I think Jimmy the Brute Crute is massively talented. He's just ran into some really tough competition. This is such a good get back, get right fight. Let's bounce back, Jimmy. This is your spot, kid. And I think Jimmy has potential to come out here, take down Marcin Praccnio one time, and the fight could be over shortly after. So I'm going Jimmy the Brute Crute to take this man down, pass his guard, whether it's a Kimura, whether it's a guillotine, whether you take his back and strangle him, whatever the case may be. Or you knock this man out. I know MMA math doesn't mean shit, but guys that have ran through Praccnio, Crute's ran through them. I'm talking about guys like Sam Alvey. I'm talking about guys like Modestas Bukauskas. So, Jimmy, this is your chance to get back on track, man. And I think he's going to do it. So let's go Jimmy the Brute Crute in this spot, my friends. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Ryan Spann, he's 22-11, taking on Lukasz Brzeski, or Brzeski, I believe they pronounce it, who's 9-6-1. Currently, they got it. Ryan Spann minus 210. The comeback on Lukasz Brzeski is plus 180. So Spann is 6'5", Brzeski 6'4". Both men are 33. Spann's gonna have a half-inch reach advantage at 79 inches of reach. So, guys, listen, man. I think Spann should win. Y'all think Spann should win, but like, do y'all trust Ryan Spann at all whatsoever? Because I'm having a pretty tough time doing so, if I may say so myself, man. Because like Ryan Spann is the kind of guy to go out there and kill Dominic Reyes, like sleep him with a jab in the first like minute of the fight, but then go out there and lose a split decision to the ghost of Anthony Smith. Like it makes no sense whatsoever. So I was thinking that the move to heavyweight was the right move for Ryan Spann, because think about this: the guy's 6'5". He's got the long ass reach, and in that fight he had against Reyes, where I felt like he looked career best, he missed weight for that fight. So I was thinking, hey, man, move up, more water in your body and your brain. Now we're going to get the real Ryan Spann. And in that heavyweight debut, man, it looked like he didn't even train for that fight. I was like, oh my God, Ryan, what is going on here? And it's so unfortunate because he comes out of a great camp. He's got Coach Saif Saud in his corner. He's surrounded by the right people. It's like, man, if we could just up that mental game this much, up that work ethic, like I get you're talented. Look at your guillotine. Look at your hands. I mean, you're a 6'5" grown ass man with a near 80-inch reach. Like, dude, you can do things, but like, the mental's got to catch up with the physical. And I'm just not convinced that it has. But luckily for him, on the other side with Lukasz Brzeski, look, no disrespect, but Brzeski just simply hasn't been impressive, man. Like, Brzeski, did y'all see that picture that was circulating around, around the time that he was fighting on Contender Series where he looked jacked like it was no one's business? And then he popped for steroids. Now my boy's got love handles and stuff and like gets knocked out viciously in a multitude of his fights. But then he sets back a top heavyweight prospect in Walter Wacker, who just set a record for the most consecutive heel hooks in UFC history. So like I said, y'all, this sport makes no sense because Walter Wacker is on his way to the top 15, whereas Lukasz Brzeski is on his way to the NFC. You know what I'm saying? So, look, as a pure pick, I got to go with Ryan Spann here. I just think historically he's always been better, but like, do I trust Ryan Spann at a price like this? Let alone do I trust Ryan Spann to pick me up from the airport? No, I don't. So I'm going to pure pick Ryan Spann, but yeah, it's a pass for me. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Brunno Hulk Ferreira. He's 13-2, taking on Jackson Mcvey, who is 6-0. Currently, they got it. Brunno Ferreira minus 565. The comeback on Jackson Mcvey is plus 415. So Brunno is 32. Jackson's 26. Jackson is 6'4". They got Brunno listed at 5'10". Between you and me is more like 5'8". Jackson's got a 77-inch reach compared to Bruno's 72-inch reach. So, I mean, when you're talking about who's the real middleweight here, is Jackson Mcvey. We just don't know that much about him because he's only 6-0. But hey, shout out Brunno Hulk Ferreira. Anytime that you're a 5'8" guy at 185 pounds, man, hey, I got big time respect for you, especially like these disgusting finishes he's been getting. But unfortunately, I really think long term, he's going to struggle with his stature at this weight. Like the days of being a 5'8" middleweight are long gone. Like, don't get me wrong. He can win some here and there. And when he wins, it's in spectacular fashion. And I got ultimate respect for the big balls of a guy like that competing at a weight class that he shouldn't be competing at. But then again, could he make 70s? He might have to cut off his leg. But damn, like, yeah, it's a tough proposition because now you're going up against a dude who's 6'4", who should be a middleweight. It's just we don't know much about Jackson Mcvey. I saw someone referencing one of his amateur fights earlier because that's the only time we've seen him lose. And he actually lost to that kid Wes Schultz, who lost to Mansour Abdul Malik on Contender Series, and that was such a good fight. Dana actually went inside the octagon and gave both of them big time props, man. So, he got caught by an armbar in his second amateur fight by like a legit wrestler. Like, so what, dude? Like, I'm not holding that against him one bit. Plus, amateurs, we talking about practice? I know we ain't talking about practice, to quote Allen Iverson, man. So here's my thing. My issue are the odds, right? Like, you got to lay a big time premium, beyond a premium, on Brunno Hulk Ferreira. And yeah, I might pure pick him just because he's more UFC experience. He's got more UFC experience. He's a lot more proven. We've actually seen him under the bright lights multiple times against real people. But what if Jackson Mcvey is a legitimate prospect that we simply just don't know about? And the reason we got to talk in these terms is simply because of the odds. That's it. If you take a shot on Jackson Mcvey at these big dog odds, like I'm saying like a 1 unit shot, a half unit shot, a quarter unit shot. I'm not saying go big or nothing, just to see, because he's got, like I said, Brunno is ultra dangerous, but Brunno is ultra vulnerable with that size at that weight class, man. So look, yeah, as a pure pick, I got to go with the experience, the guy that's proven, the guy who is not just proven to win fights at the UFC level, but can finish fights in devastating fashion. But like, listen, it's just tough to cap Jackson Mcvey based on the sole fact that he's been running through everybody, but like it's been so easy for him that like we just don't know what he's like in an extended fight. We don't know what it's like when he gets hit in the face. We don't know what it's like when fights go past round one, So it's like it's a lot to take in. But again, I'm not counting off the possibility that hey, maybe this guy's a stud prospect, but until I've seen it, I can't just come out here and outright pick him. But again, if y'all feel like, hey, maybe it's worth taking a small underdog shot just to find out, I don't blame you. I don't blame you because, like I said, Brunno's going to win some here and there. But when you zoom out, I feel like there's going to be a lot of inconsistency based off that stature for a big boy weight class. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Brunno, man, but I'm definitely gonna be taking notes to see if Jackson is. I mean, look, Jackson could be a can or Jackson could be like a legit prospect. We just simply don't know. If someone's got inside info, y'all let me know. But from what I could tell, I'm still taking mental notes, and we'll see exactly where he is, man. Now, last but not least, in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Carli Judice. She's 4-2, taking on Nicolle Caliari, who's 8-3. Currently, they got it. Carli Judice minus 335. The comeback on Nicolle Caliari is plus 275. So Judice is 26, Caliari is 28. Judice is 5'7" compared to Caliari's 5'3", and also she's going to have quite the reach advantage at 68 inches of reach compared to Caliari's 62 inches of reach. So, hey, shout out to Judice. For like an entry level UFC fighter, I've liked what she's done, man. On Contender Series, puts up serious significant strike numbers in that UFC debut. Serious significant strike numbers, meaning that like there's no room to breathe, no room for space when you're fighting Carli Judice. She is consistently going to be throwing volume at you. Now, with her opponent, Nicolle Caliari, I think what she wants to do here, I think you guys know exactly what she wants to do here. She wants to get this fight to the mat. She wants to establish her dominance, and she wants to potentially get a submission win over Carli Judice. And sure, maybe that's a possibility. However, if Carli Judice is able to, let's say she doesn't stuff the takedowns, okay? Because maybe she does stuff them. But let's say she doesn't stuff them, but she gets back up. That's where you're going to see Nicolle Caliari with these big, deep breaths, like, and in that time where she needs to recover, Carli Judice is going to be filling up that space with straight punches, jabs to the face, right crosses, teeps to the body, roundhouse kisses, roundhouse kicks to the legs, roundhouse kicks upstairs. And I just think she's going to overwhelm Nicolle Caliari. So for entry level, women's MMA, I feel like they're bringing Carli Judice along the right way. In fact, she even got signed off Contender Series off a loss because of how impressed Dana and the matchmakers were with the effort and the output and the willingness to fight that Carli Judice has. Not to mention she's in her backyard in Louisiana. So, we're going to start the night with a Louisiana native in Carli Judice, and we're going to close the night with the legendary Dustin the Diamond Poirier, man. So I can't wait. So, hey, y'all, listen, before I thank y'all, if y'all want some free signed merch from Malcolm the Machine Wellmaker, I'm talking about a UFC hat. I'm talking about posters. We'll think of other stuff. We want to hook up the fans, man. Like Malcolm is such a good dude, and I feel like I owe the fans a lot. But guys, listen, man, like I said, I've been paying my dues for so long. I want to keep doing half the battle. I don't want to have to stop the show. But we're at the point now where I need to get to 10K subscribers on YouTube, man. Like it's time, man. It's time. So all I'm asking you for, I'm not asking for your money. I'm not asking for your social security. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not asking for nothing except for 10K subscribers on YouTube. So please hook me up, and multiple people are going to get hooked up as a result with signed Malcolm the Machine Wellmaker gear. So, man, thank y'all so much. Y'all know where to follow me. If y'all want my main card predictions, you know exactly what you got to do on the YouTube channel. Yeah, look who just crashed the show. My dog Leo. What's up, Leo? This is my boy right here. I fucking love this guy. Come here, you want to get up here with me? So, listen, man. Yo, isn't this guy the best? I fucking love this guy. But yeah, y'all know what you gotta do, man. Hook me up with those 10K subs, and I'm gonna hook y'all up with the Malcolm Wellmaker signed gear. And yeah, y'all know where to follow me. Best Fight Picks on Twitter, Half the Battle Pod on Instagram. Look at this guy putting on a show for the fans. So he's burying his head in the pillows and stuff. This guy's hilarious, man. But yeah, man. And then also on Instagram, I'm at Half the Battle Pod, but TikTok, Half the Battle Podcast. But YouTube, that's what we're trying to get at now. 10K subscribers on YouTube so we can hook you up with that free merch. And like I said, if you haven't watched my main card predictions, make sure I'll link the video down here below so y'all can. But it's on my channel and y'all will see it. So thank y'all so much for your support. I am truly, truly grateful. Let me know which background you like better. You like this one here where I'm on the couch with the red, or you like the other one with the kind of like, I don't know what kind of art the painting I have is, futuristic. I don't fucking know, man. Or maybe you want to see me go back and forth between the two backgrounds. I can do that as well. So I'm truly grateful for y'all. I hope y'all love these fights because it's a true blessing to be able to see Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway run it back one more time. In fact, this hat right here was from UFC 236 when they fought in Atlanta, man. So yeah, I'm truly honored and blessed to have witnessed the careers of both Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, and I can't wait to see them run it one last time. Get me to 10K subs. I appreciate y'all, and until the next time, let's cash these bets.